Picture a man standing alone in a silent dojo. His hand rests lightly on the sword at his hip. His breathing is slow, almost invisible. His eyes don't dart around, they simply see. Across from him stands another man, chest puffed out, jaw tight, veins raised in his neck, every muscle screaming, "Look how strong I am." The attack comes. The loud man explodes forward, burning energy in every direction. The calm man moves once, clean, precise, almost boring to watch. Then stillness again, as if nothing happened. No roar, no celebration, just quiet. You were taught that strength is the second man, hyped, intense. Always on edge, always proving something. You've tried to live like that, grinding, forcing, winding yourself up with music, caffeine, and anger. And every time life truly presses you, that version of strength collapses. Your motivation disappears, your discipline melts, and you're left wondering, what's wrong with you? Japan's best-kept secret is that real strength is not tension, noise, or performance. It is something far more dangerous and far more rare: an immovable mind. The men who endure humiliation, boredom, and pain without breaking are not more excited than you. They are less ruled by emotion than you. They have built a core in sand that does not move when the world pushes. If you never understand this, you will keep confusing stress with effort and burnout with commitment, forever chasing motivation instead of becoming the kind of man who acts whether he feels like it or not. So before anything else, you need to face a simple, uncomfortable question that might quietly decide the rest of your life. Where did your idea of strength actually come from? You think you know what strength looks like. It's the guy in the gym, grunting loud enough for everyone to hear, veins popping as he films his last rep for a story. It's the friend who talks endlessly about his plans, his grind, his future empire, always announcing how hard he's about to work. Online, strength is flexed, captioned, filtered, measured in likes and attention. But look closely, loud strength is usually fragile strength. It has to be seen to exist. Quiet strength does not. Quiet strength is the man who shows up to train when nobody texts him about it, who goes to work, lifts, studies, keeps his word, and does not narrate his effort to the world. Social media, fitness culture, and motivational content have trained you to chase spikes of emotion instead of quiet consistency. You feel strong when you are hyped, when the music is loud and the pre-workout hits, when you post your progress. Then the high fades, and with it, your discipline. Think of two men. One trains brutally hard for 10 days, posts his transformation, then disappears. The other is an old Japanese craftsman who repeats the same precise movement every day for 40 years, saying nothing. Which one would you trust when everything is on the line? The brutal truth is this: what you call a discipline problem is often just addiction to stimulation. You are only strong when it feels good to be strong. And that is not strength, it's dependence. Japan solved this problem centuries ago because for the samurai, inconsistency meant death. They forged something else entirely, an inner state that does not move. When the samurai spoke about unshakable strength, they were not talking about bigger muscles or louder battle cries. They had a word for the kind of power they trusted with their lives: fuddy shin. Fud means immovable. Shin means mind or heart. Together they describe a state where your inner center does not move. Even while your body moves through danger, chaos, and fear, it is not the absence of emotion. It is the refusal to be ruled by emotion. In Japanese temples, you will often see the image of Fud Myo, a fierce guardian deity seated in perfect stillness, surrounded by flames, holding a sword and a rope. The fire represents the chaos of life. The sword cuts through illusion, and the rope binds the wild impulses that would drag you away from your path. Warriors used this image as a mirror. They trained to become like that figure burning outside, unmoved inside. Miyamoto Musashi, the most legendary swordsman in Japan, wrote in the Book of 5 Rings that a warrior must be like a rock in a storm. The wind may howl, the rain may fall, but the rock does not chase every gust. Once a decision is made in accordance with your way, you do not change it to suit your mood. Samurai training and Zen practice were built around this. Endless repetition, harsh conditions, and strict routines were not just to harden the body, but to remove unnecessary movement inside you, doubts, second-guessing, emotional storms. When the inside becomes still, the outside can move with precision. Fud Shin is not about being robotic. You can feel fear and still advance. You can feel shame and still train. Unstoppable strength is exactly this. Your core direction does not move, even when every feeling inside you begs you to run. Without this immovable mind, you will always be hijacked by the emotional weather of the day, living a life pushed around by trends, people, and impulses. And here is the harsh part. Many of you already know this in theory, yet you still fail. So why is understanding discipline never enough to actually live it consistently and every day? You know this pattern too well. You wake up one morning and decide that from today, everything changes. You rewrite your routine, buy a notebook, clean your room, binge a few discipline videos, and for 3 days, you feel like a different man. Then work gets heavy, sleep falls apart, someone disrespects you, your phone drags you into scrolling, and within a week you are back where you started, staring at the same habits you swore you were finished with. You tell yourself you lack willpower, but the real problem is deeper. In those first few days, you are not a new person. You are the same old self wearing a fresh costume. Your identity is still built like a tent light, portable, easy to move whenever the emotional weather shifts. Fud Shin is a stone temple. The wind screams against its walls, rain hammers the roof, and yet the structure does not move. Your real enemy is not laziness. It is your long-practiced attachment to being a man who moves whenever he feels discomfort. For years, your nervous system has been trained to escape, close the app, skip the workout, numb out, complain, promise you'll start again on Monday. And here is the painful truth. As long as you quietly believe you are the kind of person who can't stay consistent, you will protect that belief with your behavior. You will sabotage yourself to stay familiar. If you never confront this, you will keep restarting your life every few months, drowning in self-hatred, convinced you are missing something magical, when in reality, you have simply never committed to building a temple instead of living like a tent. The samurai refused to live like tents in the wind. They built something else entirely, an immovable core that did not bend to mood or image at all. That immovable core the samurai built was not mystical, and it was not reserved for some chosen elite. It was a structure, a way of living, built on a few ruthless principles repeated for years. Think of it as 3 pillars that hold up a temple inside you. If one is weak, the whole structure shakes. The first pillar is non-negotiable direction, what the Japanese call your do, your way. This is the path you choose for your life, your strength, your craft, your mission. Once chosen, you do not renegotiate it every time you feel tired, hurt, or bored. It becomes a personal code. This is what I do, no matter how I feel. The second pillar is controlled response, linked to the idea of ma, the space between things. It is the gap between stimulus and reaction. You still feel anger, fear, laziness, but you do not obey them immediately. You let them rise, you see them clearly, and then you act from your way, not from your mood. The third pillar is patient austerity, what Zen and samurai training call shuji, harsh, honest training through hardship. Instead of seeing difficulty, boredom, and repetition as problems, you treat them as the forge that shapes you. Long hours, quiet practice, unnoticed effort. This is where real strength is built. Samurai and monks followed one way for life, trained their attention in the smallest moments, and embraced austere routines that most modern people would call unbearable. Unstoppable strength is not a gift. It is the result of living these 3 pillars again and again until they become who you are. You stop trying to be strong and simply follow your way, control your responses, and accept hardship as your teacher. The question now is practical. How do you actually live like this? Every single day, in a modern world that rewards comfort, distraction, and emotional chaos. Shuji is not a romantic word. It is the hard, unglamorous reality of training that shapes the whole person, not just a skill. For samurai and monks, it meant cold mornings on bare floors, endless repetition of the same cut or bow, strict routines that did not bend for moods. It was not punishment, it was refinement. Burning away what was weak and unnecessary, so only the essential remained. Your life will never look like a Zen temple, but the principle is the same. Your job, your workouts, your conversations, even your anxiety, are not interruptions to your path. They are the path. Every situation is a chance to practice the 3 pillars of your immovable core. When the alarm rings, you are not trying to wake up. Early you are being tested. Is your direction non-negotiable, or do you move the moment comfort calls? In conflict, your first impulse might be to explode, defend, attack. Shuji means you notice the fire, feel it fully, and then practice controlled response, choosing words and silence that match your way instead of your ego. In boredom, whether you are studying or working alone, the urge is to escape into distraction. Patient austerity means you stay a little longer, hold your attention for one more page, one more set, one more difficult email, each small act another brick in your inner temple. This is not about collecting hacks. It is about accepting that your entire life is the training ground and that nothing is neutral anymore. Most men will keep waiting for the perfect system, the right mood, the ideal routine. If you live as Shuji, you stop waiting and start becoming, and over time your identity quietly begins to change. You stop seeing hard days as proof that you are broken and start seeing them as the exact pressure that carves you into someone heavier, calmer, and far more difficult to move. At first, living by the immovable core will feel forced, almost fake. You will have to remind yourself of your direction, fight with your impulses, negotiate with your own excuses. You will wonder if this is who you really are, or just another phase. But repetition changes more than your schedule. It changes your sense of self. Imagine a man who used to skip every workout when stressed. In the beginning, showing up feels like war. Months later, something strange happens. On the days he doesn't train, he feels wrong, misaligned. Not because of guilt, but because skipping is no longer who he is. This is the power of Do, the way. Bushido, bud, shudden, not just things you do, but paths you walk until they write themselves into your bones. You are becoming someone who does not move when it matters. You feel fear, but your feet still walk into the gym. You feel shame, but your eyes still meet the world. You feel tired, but your hands still do the work. This identity is not loud. It does not crave validation. Yet, people around you start to sense it. When things get hard, they look to you, because you have quietly become the one who does not fold. If you never reach this shift, discipline will always feel like self-violence, a fight against your true self, and eventually you will burn out. To avoid that, you must treat this new identity like a flame in its first hours. It is powerful, but fragile, and if you want it to survive, you must protect it. In older cultures, commitment was not a mood. It was a public line you crossed. Samurai swore oaths and lived under written codes. Monks took vows that bound their daily lives. Craftsmen entered apprenticeships that lasted years, sometimes decades. Your word was not a caption, it was a contract. Break it, and you broke yourself. Today, most of your promises live only in your head. I'll start tomorrow. I'll be more disciplined. You say it silently, then break it silently, training your brain to believe that your word means nothing. To lock in your new identity, you need two things. First, a public vow, one concrete expression of your way. Daily training, no more lies. 90 days of focused work, choose one and declare it. Right now, write it as a comment. From today, I no longer move when, and finish that sentence with the area you choose. Second, the silent battles. This is where the real work happens, when you are alone, tired, humiliated, tempted, and no one is watching. These moments are your shuji. Each time you hold the line, your immovable core gets heavier, denser, more real. The vow is not for attention. It is a boundary you set with yourself in public. The silent battles are where you either betray that boundary or prove that you meant every word. At this point, the path in front of you is simple, but not easy. You already know what to do. The remaining question is who you will choose to be, and every choice will carve you deeper. Real Japanese strength was never about noise, volume, or performance. It was about an immovable mind, an inner core forged through a chosen way. controlled responses, and patient austerity repeated until it became identity. The samurai were dangerous, not because they shouted the loudest, but because nothing essential in them moved when chaos came. Most people who watch this will forget it in a few hours. They will scroll to the next video, get hyped for a moment, then return to being pushed around by every emotional wind, still wondering why nothing in their life truly changes. If you choose this path instead, do not expect ease. At first, your days may feel heavier, because you will stop escaping and start facing everything you used to run from. But slowly, you will notice situations that once shattered you become manageable. Triggers that once sent you into panic now meet a growing calm. You are becoming someone different. Someone who does not run. Someone who can be trusted when others are falling apart. Because you have decided that your way is non-negotiable. Whenever you feel yourself drifting back into old patterns, return to this philosophy and treat your life again as shooty, no drama, no grand announcements, just quiet, repeated movement in the same direction. If you walk away and treat this as just another interesting idea, nothing will change. A year from now, you will still be searching for the next secret. Or you can commit to one vow, live one way, and refuse to move when it matters. The rest will follow. Let this be the moment you begin.